Life comes at you so fast and hard these days, it's easy to get overwhelmed. And with the internet, Facebook, and smartphones, it's so very easy to get distracted, lose your focus, and lose your edge. Motivational speaker and author Scott Wimberly is here to tell us more. Scott, it's good to see you again,
It's
buddy.
good to be here, always.
You had an interesting example of maintaining focus that I think the folks at home will be particularly familiar with, given this past weekend. Tell us about it.
Well, during the LSU and Alabama game Saturday night, LSU outplayed played us, for 59 and a half minutes basically, But when LSU, when they missed that field goal and their defense came back on the field and our offense came on the field, they didn't have the focus and the intensity that they did all the way up until that point. It wasn't like all of a sudden we got better and they got worse. But for those 30-odd seconds, they lost their focus and they lost their intensity. And that was a perfect example. And when I saw that, and after the game, people were, how, why, after all the celebration, is they didn't finish. They lost their focus right there at the end. They thought they had it won, and they didn't finish. And we hear that a lot around, here now is to finish. And we've been on the other side of that.
Oh, yes.
So we know, that feeling as well of losing our focus and our intensity. But it's not just on the football field. It can happen in everyday life. You get, tired, fatigue can set in, which during a football game that happens. We get distracted. We get looking at the scoreboard. We're ahead. We're winning, and it's almost over. The next thing you know,
wow. Yeah. You're behind.
You're behind, and then
there's not a lot of time
left. There's no more time on the clock. It's over. But that was a perfect microcosm of just people's life, everyday life, of losing their focus and their intensity.
Let me ask you for some advice for me along this subject, because I came in a little before 9. I'll be up here super late tonight because it's election day. There'll be lots of stuff going on. As the day wears on, probably about an hour or two, I'm used to being at home and in my chair, relaxed, but I'll be here instead. Now, how am I going to maintain my focus and my intensity? Do you have some tips for me?
Well,
my attention begins to wander.
It's something you don't just all of a sudden, when you get back out on the field, like, oh, I got to be focused and intent. It's something you practice every day, and that's why we practice. You practice focus and you practice intensity. So instead of always going home and getting in the chair, you need to maybe focus, on focusing and then being intense.
I see. Okay. So that would help me. That would serve me better today. But since I probably spent the last 365 days doing the same thing.
It's going to be a long day.
It is going to be a long day. Very long day. And if we continue to hear the sort of news out of states like Ohio and Florida and all these different battleground states where it's just neck and neck, it could be a long 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, tonight, it's going to be a few days.
All right, Scott. Well, super. Anything else you'd like for the folks at home tonight?
Just go vote. Go vote. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Good seeing you, buddy.
Thank you.
You can find out more about Scott, his books, and following the roadmap to your destiny online at ScottWimberly6.com.